Hi YouTubers, Fierce Tiger here again. I'm back into 3D printing. Well, after months of not printing, actually I've been trying to print stuff, except been having loads of problems with my models not printing layers, which I'll show you right now. I don't know if you can see. These are the prints that I've been doing, and you can see that there's gaps, layer gaps in there, and I think I might have stopped this early and I didn't print the rest of it because I figured, why am I going to waste resin with that? Oh, look, this one, you can really see the layer gaps in there. Oh. So this one you can see almost all the way through it. Look at that. Oh, let's see. There we go. Let me hold it this way. It's probably easier. Look at that gap. Right through the middle of the body. So, besides various other missing sprues. In the end, it turns out they were bad models. It wasn't my printer. So I've been printing these, and I'm thinking, wow, my printer's really messing up. So I decided to do something for one of my board games. Zombicide Invaders. The invaders are coming. Zombicide Invaders. Pretty cool, huh? Science fiction. Zombies in space. A game by Raphael Guiton, Jean-Baptiste Louillon, and Nicolas Radoul. I hope I got their names right. For 1 to 6 players, it suggests that for ages 14 and up, supposedly 1 hour. No, I don't think so. Maybe 1 hour per player. Yeah, 1 hour per player, I would think. So, maybe at some point I'll play it solo for you guys. Finally got back to 3D printing. Look at all this stuff that I've put together. I have a game called Zombicide Invaders. It is a zombie game, a board game where people are running around trying to get away from zombies and trying to either get to a safe place or do specific missions. This one is a newer version of it that is in space now, where people are fighting the zombies, and it's a slightly different take on it. There's not so much a runaway thing, but more stemming the tide of the zombies. So, Zombicide Invaders. This is a game I own that I bought last year. And so anyway, I decided to get back into 3D printing, and part of that is it comes with these doors. As you can see, they're made out of cardboard. There's a little illustration here of a doorway that opens and shuts. This is a similar one, except it's lit green. There's another color, I believe, a purple one. So instead of using these, as you can see here, that I've got back into 3D printing and decided I found these available online, and they were free download for the files. And so look at that. So you could put it on the board where normally you would put this tile. You put this, and it's, instead of putting the tile down, you can just put this down, and to illustrate it, it's open or closed or broken, you pull this out, closed door, open door. Okay, and I was able, the game has 7 tokens. I went ahead and made 8, so there'd be plenty in just in case. I also have an expansion, so just in case the expansion has, I haven't checked the expansion, but just in case the expansion has one more at least. I don't think I'll need all 8, but you never know. Plus, I might want to paint them and put a color on it to designate the green, you know, the different colors that are in the game at some point. Other than that, this is great. I mean, they work pretty good. The only thing that I thought didn't come out very well is that the bottom of, well, I flipped the model so that the plate would be on the top here, and it prints in a motion going up. So this part where that attaches to the plate, you can see it with these little circles here, or they're not really circles, they're more like recessed tabs. Anyway, you can see this one is a full circle and this one is not, and neither is this one. So I'm not sure why that happens. Other than that, the rest of it printed out fine. The only reason I can think of that it printed there is maybe when I processed the file for printing, I may have placed the object below the where it's supposed to sit. So it started processing the file a little higher up and thus cutting off the little circle.
No, not going out.
And yes, there's plenty of background noises in the back, because this is a homemade video. So these models have fairly good detail. It's all these holes that where these 2 foot tabs go. You can see that there's some slots there for those tabs to go into. They almost go all the way through, but in the model, I don't see that happening. It's not all the way through. I don't know if maybe this didn't. I lost a few layers, and maybe that's why you're almost able to poke a hole through the bottom here, through those 2 holes. You do not want to put too much pressure in this direction. So when you pick up these models, you either want to make sure there's a door in there so you can't squeeze it too hard, or if it does not have a door, make sure you pick up the model on one side. Do not squeeze it, because I'm pretty sure it will break. So these models I printed at a layer of 75 microns instead of the 50 microns. And you can see a little bit of the lines in the layers here. I don't know if you can see it. You can also see a shimmer too to it when you're looking at it in the light. I did that to decrease the amount of time it would take me to print. For this type of model, I didn't think it was necessary to have really fine details of a 50 micron, for instance, a character miniature. Most people will not be looking at these really closely. They're tabletop terrain. Tabletop terrain, I don't think needs to be printed in 50 micron layer thickness. It's fine. being able to see the little lines from the layers kind of gives a character, I think, of a normal manufactured item. And if you give it a good paint job, those fine lines will be covered up, I'm pretty sure. Depends on how much layers of paint you put on it. 75 microns is pretty small. They say 50 microns is the thickness of a hair. So 75 microns, an extra 25 microns, not going to be that much thicker. So also these frames, the door frames, I printed at 75 microns. There is a delay number also in my printer, which was set to 500. I put it down to 200, and it didn't seem to affect the prints any differently than having it at 500. These printed fairly quickly in about, the doors themselves printed fairly quickly because I printed them in this direction. So the time it takes to print it is how many layers it has to go through. Now if I printed it in this direction, it would have to print lots more layers than if I do this way. And since they were doors, I was able to line them up, a whole bunch of them at the same times. So I printed a whole bunch of them in line at the same time. It took about 4 hours. Normally it would take about, at 50 microns, probably anywhere between 6 and 7 hours. So I cut off 2 or 3 hours off of that. This one, I printed 4 of them at a time because only 4 would fit on my in my print area. Well, I probably could have squeezed another one in there, but I wanted to be comfortable, make sure that everything worked fine. I wasn't even sure if my printer was still working well because I had a lot of problems earlier. So I printed 4 of them at the same time, and of course the printer goes up and keeps adding layers to the bottom. Obviously, you can see the difference. So this took about 7 hours to print, and I had to do it twice, so a total of 14 hours for 8 of these. Okay, I think that's it on that front.